Last week, economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema said, and I quote, "This is not the end, this is the beginning. We are not going to disappoint the people the same way COPE did." Today, we are joined by Advocate Dali Mpofu, the EFF's candidate for the Premiership of Gauteng, and discuss the way forward for his party and its performance on the parliamentary and legislature opposition benches. Advocate Dali Mpofu, welcome to the show. Should I be saying congratulations? Should I be saying, gee, you didn't even make the 7% that COPE made in 2009?
Well, you should be, good evening. You should be saying congratulations. If you consider the odds that were against us, the time factor, the money factor, the mere fact that our adverts were banned, we were being denied stadia, and all sorts of obstacles. Our leader was accused of all sorts of things, all the kinds of obstacles, and the fact that we didn't have funders like COPE did, then I think we've done well.
6.35%. What can you do with that in Parliament? You're a minority party. You can't influence policy. You say that you won't allow people to wear a nice red tie like this because you can't even change that law in Parliament.
No, we can. We can change a lot, Justice, as some of the minority parties will tell you, all the opposition parties. There's a lot of work that can be done in Parliament. In the portfolio committees, there are very important decisions that get taken. Structures like the Judicial Services Commission that appoint judges, many other structures, SCOPA, the appointment of boards of key institutions, all those are done in conjunction with the opposition. But also, as you saw with the case of the secrecy bill, the opposition, even though numerically they are inferior, might play a very important role in ensuring that certain legislation is either diluted in their favor or even blocked.
I sit here and I hear what you're saying and so forth, but I have to say, a lot of this, how shall I say, sunshine rhetoric has been heard before. COPE said pretty much the same thing. The ID said the same thing. 1999 UDM performed nearly as well as you did at about 4%. When you sit in Parliament with your lovely salary and it's lovely and warm, surely you acknowledge that what happened to COPE could very well happen to the EFF.
Yes, of course it could happen, but it's unlikely to happen because, as I said, the distinctions are many. And I don't know why everyone always chooses the worst case scenario of COPE. Nobody says the DA started at 1.7 and are now at 22.
It had some history behind it.
Well, it did, but some of it was apartheid history, but that's fine. History is history. But the point of the matter is that some parties across the world, some grow, some implode, as COPE did. I think that there are key distinguishing factors between us and COPE. One of them, for example, already COPE had two faces of a presidential candidate. We've already not had that. They did not have their elective conference for years after they had been elected. We've committed to have our elective conference by December this year. So there are many crucial distinguishing features. But also the impact of what we have done. We have become we're the biggest gainer in this election. We gained 25 seats. There's no other political party in this country that has gained that much. Instead, the ANC has lost 15 seats. The DA gained 22 seats. So we are the fastest growing party. That is consistent with that. We are a youthful party, the only party led by a 33-year-old. So the future is bright. There is no doubt that there is not even a comparison. And most importantly, we have policies, very distinguishable policies. People, you might agree or disagree with them, but everyone in South Africa knows what we stand for. COPE, I can ask you now, what does COPE stand for? You don't know, except what they oppose. Yeah.
That's a delicious thing here. The ANC stands at 62.15. You are at 6.35. Is it possible that you and the ANC could collaborate to achieve certain ends in Parliament? Because then you'll have 68.5%, that's 66, more than the two-thirds majority.
Oh yes, certainly. I mean, if the ANC or anybody were to say tomorrow, look, we're going to have nationalization of the mines or land expropriation without compensation, we'll definitely give that percentage to make it, to change the constitution if it needs to be changed. but as we indicated, similarly, if the DA and other parties say we must remove President Zuma and let's vote on that, which is something we support, then we would vote with them. So we're not going to have any formal coalitions. We're going to be guided by our 7 non-negotiable cardinal pillars.
Would you vote against President Zuma? Do you think this is a priority now, or is it policy priority?
No, I'm just making an example. It's not our priority. Our priorities are spelled out very clearly in our manifesto, our founding manifesto, as well as our elections manifesto.
There are several forces which have emerged. Ronnie Castro's called for a no vote or for a vote for smaller parties. NUMSA's talking about a left party. How far are your talks with these kinds of forces?
Well, that happens to be my portfolio of special projects. Before the elections, I rounded off all what we might call the left forces in the country. From your AZAPO, PAC, SOPA, BCP. Some of them, the talks are quite at an advanced stage. Others, we completed the talks. They actually were on our election list. We'll continue with that. NUMSA in particular, we'll continue talking to them, or at least we'll start talking to them. We had approached them, but we had not had discussions. So anybody who really generally follows a socialist path or agrees with the principles that are well known, we're going to engage them, because we don't believe for a minute that the EFF on its own can achieve this. But right now, as a party that has achieved almost 1.2 million votes, 55 representatives in total across the country, and most importantly, represented in all 9 legislatures. We think that's a sufficient platform. It's the first time that a left-leaning party or socialist party has had the endorsement of more than 1 million people in South Africa, in the history of South Africa. So it's something that all the people who are inclined towards a left agenda should obviously, hopefully, take advantage of, and will be there to be taken advantage of.
What makes you think that you haven't hit a ceiling with this 1.1 million people who voted for you? Isn't it the fact that many of those would be essentially ANC youth leaguers who felt disillusioned with the departure of Malema, Shivambu, and others from the Youth League?
No, on the contrary. Remember that if we have 1.2 million votes nationally, there are also people who voted for us maybe only provincially. So you're talking really about 2 million voters in total. Secondly, the youthfulness, which I've referred to. But thirdly, remember, because of resources, we are the only major party that didn't even have a registration drive. So there's a latent support that is out there, which is unregistered, which couldn't vote this time around. Now that we're going to have many years, we're going to be able to translate that support into votes. So the actual support is that's.
But you're looking on the one side. It's a double-edged sword. It could go the other way.
No, of course. Absolutely. Look, it could go. Tomorrow we could have a catastrophe, and we could have a dog fight in court, like COPE or whatever. I mean, of course, it can go that way. But I'm just saying indications from the facts that I've put to you are that the 6.4% is not even a fraction. If you look at even the potential of rigging that we have referred to, and the fact that we didn't even visit some of the votes, actually we don't even know how they came, because we're not able to go into the hinterland of some of the rural areas.
The one issue that continues to hang over, the EFF said, is the fact that there's corruption charges against your president, that there's a hearing on his tax issues, I think in about 2 weeks' time. He's not going to Parliament, is he?
No, he is. He certainly is going. He's number one on our list.
He needs to pay 16 million rand in tax.
No, the two are not related. What happens is that the criminal case, I think, is in September. That tax case is later this month. So whatever happens, look, as a lawyer, I can tell you I've looked at both those cases. I think they're both nonsensical. But let's assume, for your purposes, the worst case scenario. What would then happen is that whoever it is would have to take a process of getting him out of Parliament. It's much more difficult to get someone out than to prevent them from coming in. So far, no one has succeeded to prevent him from coming in.
Advocate Dali Mpofu, congratulations on your 6.35. We look forward to an exciting Parliament with you.
Well, I have a book for you. That is our book, The Coming Revolution.
I look forward to reading it. It's lovely to have some reading matter from the EFF. Thank you, Dali Mpofu.
Thank you.
After the break, our winner and loser of the week. Stay with us.
News that moves. ENCA.com.